Test.
You know what?
Test. Testing. Test. Huh. That'll work. That's not too high a gain. Alright, here we are again. Jon Tara, Marital Arts Podcast. Sitting here with our excellent butter coffee. The coffee beans are direct from Colombia, roasted in Colombia via the Colombian Coffee Connection, Colombian-cc.com. Look it up. Irvin Liz will send coffee directly to you. Right, Tara?
That's right.
There you go.
Thank you. Chin chin.
Cheers. Oh, getting back to normal.
Yeah.
We were on a trip last week, and I was trying to make the butter coffee on the road, and we didn't have some of our measuring devices.
Yeah.
We didn't have our coffee grinder. And what else didn't we have?
The electric teapot.
Oh, the water heater. So yeah, the electric teapot has temperatures on it, and then it has a button for boil and all that. And I use 200 degrees, which is usually right around 198 for the coffee. So yeah, it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Got it pretty good, but
Yeah, you did for winging it.
right. So what are we talking about this morning?
Well, we can talk about dreams first of all.
Oh man.
Do you remember any of your dreams?
No, not last night, but a couple nights ago I was having just very free-flowing. I wasn't frustrated about them. Usually I'm frustrated about the dreams and I shut them down. I lucid dream real easily, and I don't really like to because I want to sleep when I sleep, because I don't sleep extended hours. It's only 6 hours at the most, maybe. And so I like to sleep. But yeah, man, I had some free-flowing dreams. My dad was in them. He was bebopping around all fine and healthy and normal, and he was joking with me. Which doesn't usually happen in real life. So I don't know if it was something we're going to see in the near future, which would be fun. But yeah, that's it for my dreams. What about yours?
So just this morning, because I usually just remember the morning dreams. I dream a lot, but it doesn't necessarily bother me. So you and I, it's like we were in a boat, more like a raft, and we're just kind of bebopping around.
I usually like to take you out in rafts.
Yeah. And it was in, like a small, kind of like a man-made lake or something, but it was, unrealistically small. Like, it was actually like a big pool. And on one end, there was, it looked like a statue, but it was a person, and she was kind of dressed like a nun and leaning over the edge of the water, but like her face was chalky white, like actual texturally chalky.
Yeah.
Also. And her outfit or habit was like tan, a really light tan rather than black.
Oh, so you're saying she had a bad habit?
Yeah, she had a bad habit. Well, wait, there's more.
And her face was like one of those horror movie nuns.
Yeah. So I was warming up some towels for the kitties. So we accidentally go to her side and end up bumping her shoreline, which is just a tiny area, and then she comes alive. And
oh, so she was kind of dead.
Well, it was just like she was in stasis. You could tell.
Inanimate?
Well, you know that you'll see those videos of people in Las Vegas that are all dressed up and have makeup on, and they're made to look like a statue, but you can kind of tell it's a person, but when they move, it's like, whoa. That was weird. It was like that.
Oh.
And then she turned into, like, she wasn't in her same outfit. She totally came alive into a new physique. What is that show that you've been watching where that alien...
Resident Alien.
Resident Alien?
Yeah, that's funny.
So she kind of looked like the main character woman in that, who's the indigenous person.
Yeah.
And, but a little bit different, but mostly like her. And she's wearing like all black and had black long hair, but she was really mean. Like, she was just like cranky. And I suppose if you're, frozen like a statue for who knows how long, but so she's just like upset that we just like bumped her shoreline, and I'm like, I'm sorry, nothing bad about it, and then she starts like coming after us, like to physically attack us, and so I'm deflecting and using all my martial arts skills apparently in my dreams.
Yeah, how'd it work?
Really well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
She was behind you most of the time, and I don't know, you're probably like, Tara, you can handle this one or something like that. And I had a spoon, and she's like, I'm gonna press charges because for medical expenses, I have a bruise, and like everything I was doing was just deflecting and using her own forces to throw her off. And just one of those people is just like can find anything to complain about.
So she's a composite of lots of people, She's
probably.
We're going down the Amazon River in a raft, and there's a Catholic nun that has a bad habit.
Not the Amazon River. It's like a little lake.
Oh, okay.
And yeah. Yep.
I like my story better.
Okay.
It'd be a heck of a lot more metaphor.
Yeah.
So she has a tan habit, pale skin. Did she have
when
a
she's
name?
in that form, no. When in that form, yeah.
Mm-hmm. When she was in
the statue,
inanimate.
The statue-like form. Yeah.
Interesting. So we usually talk about dreams every morning. Tara dreams a lot more than I do, and it's interesting to share. I think sometimes dreams are not always for the person that is dreaming. Indigenous cultures would have a morning session where they would all come together and share their dreams, and there would be prophetic dreams and dreams that would kind of line up, what they should do for the day, or even where they should hunt. When you're in that type of a state where you're not surrounded and controlled by electronics, and you don't have a job to go to, your intuition is much stronger, and survival instinct is much more strong. And so we get together each morning. Most mornings, some mornings we can't, but we get together most mornings and share our dreams with each other. So, Moral of the story: don't wake up inanimate nuns that don't have the proper color habit.
Yeah.
And
be wary. If it looks strange, just stay away.
Keep your boat away from someone else's shore.
Yeah.
And when you can, heat up towels for your kitties and put them on chairs next to you, so that they can snuggle up in a warm towel. That's what's going on right now. Our kitties just got their towels, so kitty mama takes care of that.
Kitty dada does that too.
Hey, now this is being recorded. Don't be besmirching my manhood, telling everybody to take care of my cat.
Yeah, well, that was ruined a long time ago. Because
My manhood was ruined a long time ago.
Well, you had a cat in your martial arts studio, so, I mean, she was a badass cat.
Well, everybody called her Collie Cat because they couldn't get near her. She'd sit on the counter like a statue, like a white porcelain statue, and she wouldn't move. She'd just stare.
The statue.
Oh, yeah.
The warning.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Stay away from statues. Yeah, she would sit there, and then people would come up, and then she'd move a little bit, and they'd be like, "Oh, I thought she was a statue.
Yeah.
Oh my God!" And then they'd reach out to touch her, and she'd bat their hand away. She didn't have front claws, which was good.
Yeah. Which you didn't, by the way, you aren't a proponent of, but she was just so ruthless.
She was a holy terror when she was young, and yeah, I didn't want to get her front claws removed, but I had to. Anybody would come over, and she would attack their feet if they took their shoes off. They're sitting on the couch or something, she'd attack their socks. Because, so she would attack my feet at night. She'd come up under the covers at the end of the bed, and it's not like she could attack them through the covers. She'd have to get under the covers, and so I had to I started locking her out. Oh, shut that. I started locking her out of the out of the room, and then she would just howl at the door, and so. But getting back to if people would come over, she'd attack their feet, because I had a sock game that I would play with her, similar to what I do with Maggie.
Okay.
I'd ball up a sock and I'd roll it across the floor, so that was her toy. So she probably interpreted that they were wearing her toy. And she was very particular, very...
That's what happens with young kitty dadas. They just don't know.
Yeah. She was very articulate as a cat, very particular and very aware. And so, and I know everyone's going to say that sounds like every cat, but...
I bet she always lands on her feet, too, when she falls.
Yeah, especially when you throw her out a 6-story window. I never did that. No, but you knew her.
Yep.
And you saw the peculiarities and the particularness in her. And you were the only other person that she took to. And that took, a month, because I was gone to an immersion course for a month, and you took care of her. And just started out by cleaning her box and feeding her. And then eventually she would lay on your chest while you're reading a book at night.
Yep. Yeah. After a few years. That took a few years, but yeah.
Need some more coffee?
Thank you.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, she was something
Your little
else.
oversized shot glass sippy cup.
Yeah. It's my favorite way to have my John's favorite coffee. John's best, my favorite.
I should write this recipe up. There's several people asking for it, so I should write it up and then make a short video, because it's really particular how you make it.
Gee, I wonder how we would do that. Know someone that can do that kind of stuff?
What? Take a video?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll figure it out. Got a neighbor that has an iPhone.
Yeah, so that was the only dream that I remembered.
Yeah.
And I just got a cute picture from a friend. Kind of like the spring maiden with her butterfly and bunny. And
Oh, is it a drawing or a painting? Or just a picture off the internet?
I don't know those details. I just...
You can see there's some... Oh, no, that's just stuff on a mushroom. Yeah, it's a Celtic knot, or Celtic cross / knot in a rock, with another Celtic knot below it. White bunny rabbit, white roses, white butterfly, a maiden in the woods wearing a leafy green dress, with some mushrooms in the left-hand corner with some funky script on them.
So changing the subject quite a bit. I apologize if this is
And I'm going to show you this. Too bad we can't show everybody. This looks like a vagina, and that looks like a penis in the background. Look at that.
Well, of course you'd see that.
You got to look for the
hidden messages.
The hidden messages. I mean, how many times in Disney is Mickey Mouse hugging a dick? I mean, you when you see all that stuff, you're like, holy cow. Is it to sexualize children, or is it to just joke with adults? I mean,
Or just to keep them occupied while the kids are enjoying it?
Well, the illustrators, are they just bored? Are they just trying to get away with whatever they can, trying to have fun? Or is there nefarious purpose to it? The world may never know. How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Center of the Tootsie Roll Pop.
Did I said it wrong?
I'm pretty sure you did. You said the Tootsie Roll center of the Tootsie Roll Pop.
Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop.
Oh, the center. Well, you gotta look that up now.
It's a Tootsie Pop. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop. And the main actor on
Resident Alien?
Resident Alien is Alan Tudyk.
Oh, but
Tudyk.
It's the woman that was in my dream.
The native woman?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find her.
Yeah, he's awesome in that role. I remember
He's so good. He's so funny. He was kind of a wimpy guy in Firefly. People remember that movie, and then it became a TV series.
Yeah.
He was married to the black lady who was the weapons, the enforcer, weapons specialist. Of course, women are the weapons specialists now. And that one was one of the first ones where there was a woman that was all powerful and kicking ass all the time, and he was married to her, and so there was always a contentious dialogue between the captain and him, and about what his wife should and shouldn't be doing, and that kind of stuff. It was kind of funny.
Oh yeah. And then we were watching right before bed last night. We were watching Wonder Woman.
1984 Wonder Woman.
1984 Wonder Woman.
Yeah, the modern movie 1984 Wonder Woman.
I think
you didn't see it because you left, but there's
did.
a little short in the end where Linda Carter shows up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and a pole falls, and she catches it with one hand, and then she gives it to a guy, and then this lady runs up, and you see her from the back, and she looks like Gal Gadot, and it's not Gadot, just so you know.
Yeah, I was just
she's
making
exotic.
fun.
Her name has to be exotic.
Of course. The main actress in
like you could be Tara Backlund.
in Resident Alien, her name isn't clickable. That's strange.
No. Oh yeah, no. They show
Sarah Tomko.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, these photos, it looks a lot more like her, which in my dream.
Oh. Which one? The sexy one or the kicking high one?
I don't know.
Or the one in the wet dress?
I find it strange though in the Wikipedia description they don't have a clickable link for her.
Maybe she doesn't have an IMDb or something. Maybe that's the first show she's been in that. I don't know. You have to be on Wikipedia. You have to have something published, or you have to be recognized. Let's see if your book is on Wikipedia. I never put it on there. Let's see.
So we were jumping around a bit. What we were talking about Wonder Woman 1984. So yeah, some movies it takes me like
you don't have a Wikipedia page. We need to make one for you. Like
3 or 4 times of you watching the movie, and then I've completed watching the movie, and so like I
didn't watch it 3 or 4 times, maybe twice.
But what I'm saying is, I don't know. For some movies, I feel like I got to get up. I'm gonna do something. And it's not that I don't like the movie, it's just I'm not in it that much. But so one more time and I will have watched the whole thing.
Well, that's normal for women. You're not a guy.
So what I really saw in the movie though last night as I was watching it. So remember that scene where, all hell is breaking loose and she's now Wonder Woman, and she and the main guy that she's reunited with are like on the corner of a building, and he's like, you've got to do this, and she's like essentially like, well, I don't want to see you go again, I don't want to be separate from you again. And it is the modern woman's dilemma, that scene and what happens next, where she goes around the corner from the building and goes out into the chaos and starts running, and her transition of how she's processing the emotion as she's running is absolutely the modern woman starting in 1984. It was probably a big transition of I'm turning away from what I love to do a higher, what she considers a higher purpose. But is it really?
Right.
It is what the modern woman has had to go through, and to go, but I don't want to give up being with my family.
Right.
You know, like the meme that I saw the other day. So feminism.
I posted that.
Okay.
This morning. So
feminism is, leaving the family that you just to serve your family, and at home.
Serving a boss and serving a job, but serving your family, your husband and children is
beneath you.
It's negative.
Yeah. And it's so true. And I wasn't trying to see this in
the struggle is true. You mean
the struggle is true, and I would say that more women. Not every woman is going to offer that, because it's like
offer what?
Admit that is what I mean.
Right.
It's women do have more options these days, but I think the greatest changes probably happened in the early, during the suffragette era, where and shortly after, or maybe even decades after, where a woman could vote, a woman could then have her own bank account, those were major changes.
That was the downfall of society.
No, when she could have her own bank account. I got my own money.
Well, that's when men started using women.
Probably,
for their money.
And there's a responsibility. There's a shift that happens. Just like in growing up. When you're growing up, you become of age to take on more responsibility, but you have to learn how to handle that. So what I'm getting at is that scene, that transition, I think really, for me, I could feel what was going on. And it's very interesting that it's 1984, the movie, what is that? There are a lot of commercials I don't really remember, but Angelique, what is it? She can
bring home the bacon fried up in a pan and never let you forget that you're a man because she's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the guilt, it's not an opportunity. It's, you think women have more opportunities. Well, even you sometimes, you're doing something that serves a lot of people, serves the world in general, serves for the betterment of people and the health of people. You get to do it from home. You're primarily doing it on a computer. You get to be the monitor or the moderator in videos. You are learning in the process about all the things that the videos are being made about. And you're making great money. And you are still frustrated by it. You are still, even, I would say, upset about it sometimes, the fact that you feel like you have to work.
I don't... Okay, maybe you see something I don't see.
Well, I see you a lot of times as frustrated. Because of the amount of work. Maybe because,
it's more, I would say, just my own... having to learn how to handle putting pressure on myself regarding what I think is an amount of work, and feeling like there's a lot to do within a certain period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the main thing. It's just my own having to get over that, mm-hmm. or work through it, mm-hmm. and then if I'm feeling frustrated that I don't have enough time for stuff, then other things can more easily seem frustrating.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is why we have these talks.
Yeah. Because I'm very grateful and content and even happy about the work that I do.
Good. Because I think it's like the perfect, if you have to have a job or a business, it's about as close to perfect as you can get.
Yeah.
When we're on the road, you were conducting meetings, you were uploading videos, you were doing all the stuff you're doing from your little laptop, and you were surprised at how much capability it had and how much power it had,
Yeah.
and how fast it processed videos and stuff like that. And you know, I just look at everything you're doing is just like, it's the perfect thing to do. You know, you can take it with you. You can close your computer and you're done for the day. You know, and if you
I
don't
could turn off my phone too.
well,
but,
yeah, if you don't look at email, basically nobody's contacting you.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have hours of operation. So you could choose, if you wanted to, you could choose to do something from midnight to 4 a.m. You know, and then, or middle of the day. So.
So that's, you know, what you're saying is really ideal in a number of ways, but I'd say for most women, their jobs or careers are not ideal. They are saying goodbye to their family at the beginning of the day. That scene in the movie, they're doing that every morning, and they're considering that every week and every month, you know. And
well, it's guilt. I remember my mom was a stay-at-home mom. There was no way she was getting a job while me and my brother were young, and that was just my parents' choice and my mom's desire. And she was ridiculed probably daily. I mean, she was made fun of. She was, you know, women directly told her, you know, you're hurting yourself by not having a career. We should get her on here sometime and have her just talk about it. It was horrendous. And then she babysat women. There were women whose kids she was babysitting that would ridicule her, you know, because they were guilty. They felt guilty. You could tell. I was a little kid and I could tell, you know, that the woman felt really bad, and they would make snide comments, you know. Not like, I don't remember them because I was too young, but not like, you're too nice, you know, must be nice you get to stay home all day. I'm sure stuff like that was said. Or they would flaunt their new purse or whatever it was, you know, and it just, and my mom talked to her. I remember hearing my mom cry talking to my dad, and it was about that that there were so many women that were ridiculing her.
Well, and really, a mom or a parent dedicating their day to raising kids with attention and intention is the most important. I mean, I don't say that frivolously.
Well, if you
either.
look at what my parents did and how they did it, why?
Well, I just want to finish
Go
that
ahead.
thought. I'm not being frivolous with that comment that it's the most important job, because you think about our future, we're surrounded by those future kids.
Yeah. And
Currently, we're surrounded by the past kids.
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, and how were they raised?
Right.
Edgy needs to go in.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, if you look at what my parents did in raising me and my brother, you know, we're two very productive, I would say very healthy, very kind and strong men in the world, you know, that are married. Brian has 3 kids. You know, I have 1 son, and you know, we're very productive. And you know, we always, even when, you know, Brian's been between jobs a few times in the last few years, but he's always on to the next one, you know. And I've had businesses and been running business and hiring and firing and you know, continually for the last 14 years.
Well, and it sounds like even the last couple of years, I think for Brian, being between jobs has been by choice too.
Yeah, he's looking for better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, going back to that scene in the movie, you know, in the early part of the movie, which I hadn't seen in the previous time that I watched only certain sections, is they show Diana
That's
as
Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah.
yes, as a little girl in the games. She's in some kind of Olympic type games with other women.
Amazon Olympics.
Yeah, with grown women, and she's a child, and I won't. Well, I'll just say that, and you can tell she just has that spirit in her, and that's generally the women who are competing. They have that kind of inner drive, spirit, and I think that depicts a certain kind of woman too. I think in let's say real life, not to just be identifying with Superwoman, but they're
Wonder Woman,
Wonder Woman. See, I can't even get it straight. They're, even as a young girl, and all along, there's just been kind of that inner spirit of that kind of spirit, of I want to be grown up. I want to be able to do this and that. And, I would often, adults would say, you're not old enough, the time will come, don't rush it. And it's like, Well,
let's look at the drawbacks of that. What do you think they're trying to teach young girls by showing that movie like that?
Well, I think a drawback is that, the girl in the movie must be like 9 or 10 or something like that. And they show her competing with grown women. And so that could be showing girls to compete with, quite literally compete with grown women and see themselves as equals. Mm-hmm. When really they have so much more, which they do illustrate, I won't say how, but they illustrate that, you are not.
They didn't show that, so that's a prequel, right? That's when she's a kid.
Yeah.
So they didn't show that. They show Wonder Woman as an adult in every other film, right?
Yeah.
They don't show her as a child. So once they got women glued and girls glued onto Wonder Woman, then they came out with the prequel to show Diana as a child,
yeah.
Right? And over the last 15, 20 years, they've been pushing girls into STEM, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I know female engineers. So I'm going to say this, and I don't care who gets mad at me. I've been in manufacturing for 32 years. I know female engineers. I know what they look like. I know how they talk. I saw female engineers when female engineers were more masculine, because most engineers, 99.9% of engineers, are men. Right? And men are interested in things. Men are interested in gadgets. Just check me and you. Mm-hmm. Who brings you your new gadgets?
You do, by
yes.
far.
Who
Even kitchen gadgets, you find.
Cleaning utensils, right? Vacuums. Yeah. Who chooses the gadget?
And
right?
this is not just subjective. This is like statistically studied. When you're doing your career research thing in high school and you're filling out.
Men go towards
tests.
Things and contraptions and machines, and women go towards helping people and talking to people and
communication,
and being
interaction,
caregivers and that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And which is fabulous. We need both, obviously. Mm-hmm. I don't want Farmer Joe down the road with his gruff hands taking care of me in the hospital when I'm. He just grab my thigh and my ankle and pull and go, there you go, your knee is back in.
Although some of the old time doctors, it sounds like they were kind of like that.
Pretty rough.
Yeah.
Pretty rough. But if something's broken, it's mechanical, right? Mm-hmm. If you're emotionally having problems, that would be more along the lines of a feminine aspect, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So anyway, getting back to, I've watched the sciences or the engineering sciences change, and I see young women who have obviously been pushed. They might have had an aptitude for math, let's say, mm-hmm. because a lot of women do. A lot of women are very good with math, but they don't pursue it because math is not used in calculating how to caregive, right? Math is let's not drill down to the minute, right? Yeah. Math is used in mechanical engineering, electrical
Absolutely.
Engineering, building a car. How do you build this bridge? How do you put up a skyscraper? That's where math is used primarily. And so women don't go into those fields. Well, I see women who are engineers who are incredibly out of place and incredibly unhappy.
So how do you know, what are the signs that they are unhappy or discontent or feel out of place?
Well, first of all, it's usually like a woman in her mid-20s, close to 30, and she's probably I won't name company names, but she's in a company that's trying to be progressive, right? And traditionally, this company has made billions of dollars, with their structure the way it was, and now all this progressive woke ideology comes in, and they bring in these young ladies, and they put them in a room, and it's 99% male engineers, and half of them are over 50. And so if you added, let me say this to everybody who's going to get upset at me, if you added a 29-year-old man to that group, he would feel out of place. He would be ridiculed. He would be put through the ringer. He would be there's a hazing process that is not necessarily physical, but you got to pay your dues. You don't just walk into a company that has made billions of dollars with brilliant creations and devices and software and all this stuff and come in, wet behind the ears, green engineer, I got all these great ideas. You'd be like, okay, yeah, we've gone through hundreds of thousands of great ideas, young man, and you're going to wait your turn, because we're talking about something we've been working on. We've had this product line for 25 years. You don't just change the direction of something, right? Mm-hmm. It takes time. It takes, because you think, let's listen to Jordan Peterson one time talk about ideas and how people want to change society. Your idea is going to cause more problems than it will have solutions, no matter how hard you've thought about it, no matter how hard, because if it's never been tried, it's like socialism in America. I mean, look at what's happening already. The amount of money that's been taken in the last couple years from us it's going to cause the reset or the restructure or the crash of our economy. Mm-hmm. And everyone's pretending that it's not, right? Oh yeah, Bitcoin's going up. Okay, whatever. So you come in and you want to have an idea, because that's what you went to school for, that's what you've been practicing. And if these young engineer ladies, if they've learned to design, if they've learned to calculate, if they've learned about the product lines, the company's already selling billions of dollars worth of product. It's like, well, we don't really need any new ideas. That's going to be the consensus, right? And if there is a new idea, the people with experience will come up with it, which is the way it's supposed to go. If I walked into an engineering group, I'm 50. If I walked into one of these companies, and I've been in the field for 32 years, I would sit down and keep my damn mouth shut for a year, maybe two. I would agree. I would say, yes, that's great. But these kids have been told, they've been given participation trophies. They've been told they can do whatever they want. They've been told their ideas and their opinions matter. They've been told all these lies by these colleges that are a money-making entity. These colleges are not preparing you for the real world. They're preparing you to continue to buy their courses, to continue to pay the money. And whether there's a job for you afterwards or not. I mean, we look at a lot of these courses in college that have no practical application in the world, and a lot of them that are doing damage in the world. And it's relative to whatever people think, right? I think they're doing damage, because I don't think we need transgender strippers reading fairy tale books to 2-year-olds or kindergartners. I don't think we need that. That's so. Getting back to the premise of pushing girls to go into STEM, I can honestly say I've not met one happy female engineer. One, in the last couple of years, there was one, but she wasn't young. She was older, and she was very masculine, and she was very much, hey dude, that kind of thing. It wasn't, I could have joked with her about anything I'm joking with a guy about. It's just, she would have came back with something worse. She was that kind of woman. So, and she was, she was dressed nice and she was polite. She wasn't wearing a skirt or anything or heels. She was a real she was a tennis shoe kind of, she looked like an engineer, mm-hmm. Just your basic engineer. The polo shirt was a little bit crooked. They're not dolling themselves up if they're a real engineer. And I could probably get some shit for that, but it doesn't matter, because the people that are thinking about the how to build and how to make efficiencies and how to make processes work better and that type of thing, you know, they're not usually straightening their clothes, and they don't look at their hair 17 times a day, you know. So I haven't seen any young gals that are happy in engineering positions. They look like, you know, and when I talk to them, I try to bring that up. I try to bring their ideas up. I try to listen to them. I say, that's a good idea. Do you think it would work better this way or that way? I let them make the decision, you know, and it really helps. It helps the attitude, the demeanor. It helps I can see it, you know, that they're not getting that where they are. And even young engineers, young male engineers, it's very similar, you know, because they come blasting out of school like they're gonna change the world, and it's like, no, the world's gonna change you. The world is much bigger. It's much bigger, and it's much more set in its ways. And, you know, so like I said, it's like anything else. You know, you got to pay your dues. You got to understand the culture. You should slowly introduce your ideas. I mean, even in my own company, I don't walk down there and go, all right, guys, this is the way it's going to go. This is how it has to happen. You know, I go, what do you guys think about this? I go, is this something that will work? Do you guys feel you can do it? You have the skills to do it? You know, and do you think we have the machinery to do it? You know, I mean, I've had guys come to me and say, you know, we need to buy this, and I'm like, well, how much is that? Well, $650,000, and I'm like, okay, no, you know, that's not something. First, we're going to use that 3 times this year. You know, that's not something we can do. But and then guys, they'll be upset that I didn't use their idea, no matter what rationale there is. You know, the reason why we can or can't. You know, so it's kind of like that. I think there's a lot of pressure. I think there's, you know, like listening to people talk like Jordan Peterson, reference him again. He talks about working with real high-end female attorneys, and at about 32 they leave. The law firms can't pay them enough to stay because they realize that they want to have a family. They want to, you know, they hit the pinnacle. They made partner. You know, they're like, I don't really want to do this anymore. And he's like, there's nothing you can do to keep them in there. You know, they're spending 60, 70 hours a week working, and they don't want to do it. You know, and so, and like he says, you know, the statistics show that it's all men at the top because the men, they're crazy. You know, they're crazy enough to do it. I mean, what did I do for the last 3 days? I'm getting up every 2 hours. I'm loading a machine. You know, I'm keeping 3 machines running downstairs. You know, I'm trying to. Could I just let the machines run during the day? Yes, I could. But I purposely bought robotic machines. I purposely bought the palletization system to go through 4 different machines so that we have accuracies, and we're doing this one little part I'll show you today, this tiny little part. We're doing 5 ops. It starts out in the EDM, it goes to the 5th axis, it goes back to the EDM, back to the 5th axis, back to the EDM, and then back to the 5th axis.
Wow.
The EDM is the last process for finish and cutoff. Yeah, back and forth. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we're doing 9 thousandths wide slots, 8 of them. You know, we've got a 5 times length, 8 thou diameter end mill. That's the diameter of a human hair, and 5 times length. So what is that? That's the diameter times 5. So it's 8 thousandths. It's 40 thousandths long, and it's cutting hardened steel. I mean, that's insane. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. So we've got to go back and forth. We reduced our process time in the Kern by something like 6 or 7 hours, going back to the EDM.
Wow.
Yeah. So
instead of doing it all in the 5th axis.
Yep. Wow.
And
then we'd break end mills in the middle of it. We have to run the whole program again.
Oh man.
Yeah. So now if we break an end mill, it's a 2-hour run. So break an end mill, we run it again, no big deal.
Wow.
Yeah. And with the process of removing more material in the EDM, we've probably made it 80% more efficient in the 5th axis. And we're ran one end mill used to last us about 1.5 parts. Now one end mill it runs for only 2 hours, where it used to run for 8 or 9, 10 hours, I think. And now it runs like 6 or 7 parts before it breaks.
So, but getting back to, and maybe we end on this subject too.
Sure.
About women, that scene in the movie, in Wonder Woman 1984.
Let me say one more thing. You know what I had to do to get my ideas implemented? Guess.
You had to do them yourself and make them show that they worked.
So what did I have to do?
Buy millions of dollars of your own equipment and
Yes.
show that it works?
I had to start my own damn business.
Yeah.
I worked for my dad for 16 years, and the amount of ideas I got implemented, I can count on one hand.
Yeah.
And I'm not lacking for ideas, and I'm not lacking for efficient ideas that work. 16 years, less than 5 ideas implemented. I had to start my own damn company.
Mm-hmm.
So for anybody listening that wants to complain that no one's listened to them, you have the ability to go out and implement your own ideas. And how many millions of dollars have I spent? A lot.
I don't think
right?
I'll try to calculate. I think I have anxiety just thinking about that.
Right.
But yeah, it's still the adage, put your money where your mouth is,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's
And
exactly right.
Yeah, and that's a very good point to...
And the more of these radical, woke ideas that people implement, the less freedom they're going to have. The less ability they're going to have to go to someone in their company and have ideas implemented, because it's going to have to be run by 16 committees. It's going to have to be run by the woke guild to see if, and then it's never going to make it, because what'll happen is the process will be so expensive, they'll just say no right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody will come and say, I have an idea for this. They'll say no.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way we can do that. I know a company that it used to cost them $85 to implement a PO, and by the time they grew and grew and grew, and then they did an analysis, and it was $1,600 for a PO. Mm-hmm. By the time they had grown to how big they were. So then they started another team of people that could issue verbal POs to get work started. So not only was it costing them $1,600 to write out a PO, so sometimes, you couldn't really do a job that was less than, you couldn't send out a job that was less than maybe $5,000 or $6,000, because it feasibly, you couldn't even write out a PO to
a purchase
help
order
to make that money, back.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be like a $5,000 or $6,000 PO.
Mm-hmm. To break even.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So then they started a whole other team of people on top of that $1,600 process to give out verbal POs so that the work could get started, because it would take weeks.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many sign-offs.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And all these people want to implement all these new rules and have all these policies, and that's the deregulation of companies is not so that companies can pollute the environment and be mean to people. The deregulation is so that it doesn't cost so much to do business, that business is cost prohibitive. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the most important thing I'll say today. So you were gonna...
Well, it's wrapping up with this whole scene from the movie, because over time I've gotten to speak with and observe a number of women, and just speaking of women, there's a whole gamut. There are the women that know from age 4 that they want to be a stay-at-home mom, and they don't even recognize people who are making fun of them or whatever. It's just like that's so their mission that
Right.
That's their mission. And then there are women on the other end of the spectrum that know that they don't want to have kids, and they want to pursue not just maybe a career but other things. And then I think there's a heck of a lot of women in between. And that is a challenging area for time, for that mentally emotional struggle. And I think it's important to recognize that there are a lot of women in between who, the one who is staying home and maybe getting criticized, or maybe internally she feels that she's doing the right thing, but her upbringing was, or her parents are saying, you're wasting your college education, or you're losing the advancement in a career.
Name one woman.
And then I think there are women who are on the other end of that middle end of the spectrum, who are like a Judge Judy, and she said, clearly loves her family and kids, was a stay-at-home mom for a while, but she's like, I was like chomping at the bit. Like I was just like, one more book and nursery rhyme, in a game was not for me, and I can get that, and so, she's there in their early lives, but then obviously she's a very upwardly mobile person, needs some
so
challenge.
Without using the extreme examples, name me one woman you've ever met that does not want to have children when she met the man of her dreams.
I don't know if I know enough. Well, the challenge is
I don't know one.
You don't always get to talk with everyone in depth. I
don't know one that could have kids, that did not want to have kids, and was in a happy marriage. I don't know one. Name one guy that doesn't want to have kids. When they meet the woman of their dreams, a woman they know that would take care of the family, that would be there, the woman of his dreams. Name one guy that will not at least concede to having kids.
Vast majority, I think,
you don't know. So my point is, the people that run around and scream that they don't want to have kids are people that have not either found the best situation for them, or have had good situations go bad through their own fault or the fault of their spouse or whatever happened. There is not, in my opinion, one person like that grows up in a happy, normal lifestyle with two parents in the home, and then goes off into life and says, fuck that, I don't want to have kids. There's no fucking way I'm going to have kids.
But most of them do, and I think that goes towards getting back to the movie.
I know guys that have wanted to have more kids than their wives.
I think that it goes back to the movie scene in the sense that is a real struggle. That scene where both characters are behind the wall, not in the chaotic world, metaphorically, right? And he is saying, you need to go out.
Well, he's watching the world fall apart.
He's watching the world fall apart.
And she is actually the Oedipal mother at that point, because she's willing to let the world fall apart for what she wants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the devouring mother, and then she makes the decision not to be. It's
I don't
a real.
know if that is the.
It's not the exact
definition
metaphor,
of Oedipal. Yeah.
But it is. It's the fucked up metaphor of the Oedipal mother that they're putting in there to. They're messing with the metaphors, right? All these superhero movies
This is where
are the confunction of the metaphors.
This is where that scene really struck me, because it challenges. Wait, this is not a romance. She's not giving up everything to be with the one that she loves, despite everything. No, in spite of everything, she is turning away from the one she has lost multiple times.
Well, he made the decision.
He let her go. He said, I'm already gone.
Yeah, he said all the things to help her realize. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if it's because I'm chilly or I'm actually getting chills, but it's like, that is the plight of the woman now.
It's not quite. It's not quite. They're fucking with you.
Okay, so I'm falling for it.
Yeah.
I'm getting.
Yeah. Well, you don't watch many movies.
Lay it out then, because you do.
I just did.
Say it again, please.
You don't watch many movies.
Right.
They're fucking with the archetypes. This is how they mess up society, right? So our archetypes traditionally have been biblical and mythology, right? Mm-hmm. So we have the ancient text, we have the stories, we have Santa Claus, right? We have the Easter Bunny, we have all these.
And she is Diana, an ancient archetype.
Right. So we have all these things. We have Jesus. We have the 12 disciples. We have all these stories from history. Right. We have the the hero king. We have the King Arthur. We have all this type of stuff, right? And they've been very consistent throughout
very
history.
Extremely. They show up in multiple cultures.
Right.
That's how consistent.
So right now they're destroying the culture. Mm-hmm. Right now they're saying it's okay for an 8-year-old to make a decision for gender transformation. Right. I mean, there's literally bills and literally laws now that they don't have to tell the parents that they're giving the kids puberty blockers, because the child made the decision. And so they're messing up the entire fabric and structure of society. This is why Jordan Peterson came. I'll bring him up again. Yep. This is why he came out of his dark hole in the ground. And he is the chosen one. He is chosen to come forth, and they tried to kill him. And he survived, and now he's back. And so that's the hero story again, right? Yeah. It's his story is the metaphor, is the story. He's got a very supportive family. He's got I would say a relatively smart family. They've turned to the medical profession way too much. Too much.
And it sounds like they're getting keen to...
They're going to be liberated of it soon.
Well, he said specifically he's not going back to the hospital because he gets worse.
Well, Rand Paul said the other day some very negative things about the medical profession. There's some very strong, firm voices out there now coming out and talking about it.
So I'm going to point out something in that scene of the movie where I think it's turning the archetypes. Now, Diana, I don't know much about the mythology, but she is, larger than life woman, right? So they're innately in that mythology. There's some masculine traits.
Well, she's the Persephone myth. She's
okay.
She's not the goddess of the underworld, but
so in that scene when they're behind the wall, he says, but I'm already gone. I've already and what I thought to myself, I'm like, this is the classic movie, but the roles are reversed. Is usually the woman saying, I love you so much and I see what you can do for the world. I am letting you go. I love you and the world so much that I am doing you the favor of letting you go so that you can serve your greater, or maybe innate, let's not say greater, but your innate purpose. Your innate purpose isn't to have this relationship and love me. Your inner purpose is to rescue the world. And so, so is that destroying a metaphor or an archetype, or is it just that he is a more feminine version and innately she's Diana and she's a stronger, more masculine? So
this is part of the reason why traditionally most heroes were men, because the society, our society has gotten so comfortable we can pretend that our warriors are going to be women. Let's arm wrestle, right? Yeah. You and me arm wrestling or doing battle is not going to go well for you. You would have to kill me in my sleep, have a gun. You'd have to have a force equalizer.
As they say, poison is the woman's weapon.
Right. So, I'm not putting any women down. I'm not going, and somebody might say, Ronda Rousey or Cyborg would kick your ass, Okay, good. 2 women out of billions? I mean, come on. It's the men are the warriors. Now we have fighter jets, right? So women can fly a fighter jet. Women can fly a helicopter. They can fly an Apache, and they can be badass, killers that are laying waste to thousands of people. But the mythos, the archetype can shift because we can see that. A woman can fly a drone, right? And be sitting in the middle of a desert in Nevada and be bombing somebody in Afghanistan or Syria, right? Mm-hmm. So we can have women warriors, but we still don't have women SEALs. We still don't have, women rangers. We still don't have, because it's a man's job. Hand-to-hand combat is a man's job. Because there isn't, the other countries aren't going to be putting out women for hand-to-hand combat. And
So in these
some people say the Israelis do. Yes, they do have some elite forces, but they're also doing other things that women are specialized for.
So in these movies, the women are literally superheroes.
Powerhouse.
They're above and beyond capabilities.
Yeah, Diana killed her father in the if you want to watch one of the other Wonder Women movies, she killed her father, who was the god that had sex with her mom, and that's why Diana's so powerful.
And so rather than saving the father,
yeah, she didn't rescue the father; she killed him. Yeah, so it's changing the
devouring daughter.
It's right.
Gathering the energy.
And then the next movie was, she's this powerful young girl that is going to dominate all these other women. So they're shifting the narrative so that young girls are, screaming and hollering at their moms, and you see it, right? You see it. It's all shifting. It's all changing, and they're doing it through media. Now I love watching it. I'm entertained by it. It's interesting. I'm not a one of these wimpy Metro 20-year-olds that is begging for, whatever they beg for. I've heard they beg for everything. Even the one that confronted my mom the other day because she had a mask on and she was in the store and it was below her nose. And this young 20-year-old barked at her and told her to pull it up, and she said, "What are you, the mask police?" And he said, this young 20-year-old man said, "I'm trying to be safe." Oh my God. Of course I grew up in the era where we had 12-foot half pipes, 20-foot half pipes. We had no helmets, no gloves, no knee pads, no nothing. We were acid dropping in on half pipes, which is a straightforward drop. Straight down. If you crashed, you crashed. Very rarely did you even hit your head if you crashed, because you're always trying to protect it, right? And you roll and you do your stuff, and I don't understand all these people getting knocked out these days in different types of things like that, because we never got knocked out. we never heard of anybody getting knocked out.
I could throw out a postulation.
I think
here.
we were stronger.
You're stronger because there's an idea about, okay, so how long have kids been put in carriers and hauled around that way?
Yeah.
And so
we walked.
When you carry a child on your body, even if they're wrapped up,
yep.
they learn how to move. They learn by the mother's body motion how to move. So many kids, infants in particular, are in these carriers all day, taking naps, and where they're meant to be carried.
Their bone structure is not even developing.
The muscle structure is not developing, and they learn how to orient their body by being on their mother's, primarily their mother's body. And so I think that's a huge part of it, is that these kids are in these devices or carriers all the time, and so they're not learning their body through their ears, and the vestibular system is not learning how to move.
Yeah. So my generation was probably one of the last generations. We didn't have seatbelts in the cars when I was a kid. My mom would put her arm across us when she was stopping, and if she had to stop fast, she'd put her arm out. And
women were stronger then too.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, you didn't mess around with moms back then.
So I would postulate that that's a significant reason.
And we didn't have car seats. I never sat in a car seat.
Yeah. Well, and certainly not a carrier.
No, never. No, not a carrier.
Yeah.
I didn't even have I think I had a Johnny jump up.
Yeah.
We didn't have swings. There wasn't the baby swings. You were rocked to sleep. You were sometimes with a real rock. Go to sleep. A Johnny jump up is a thing that you would sit in, a little harness, like a climbing harness.
Yep.
And it was a bungee cord.
It would attach to a doorway.
And it was just enough so your feet could touch, and you would push with your feet as a little kid, and you would bounce.
Yeah.
So imagine how strong that made a little kid.
Yeah. Especially having to handle your big head.
Right. Me, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's a really good analysis. I appreciate that. Yeah, these man. Well, you remember when we had those movers come over to move our house? You had to help me.
It was severely disappointing.
3 guys came over, 2 of them couldn't even lift anything.
And it wasn't necessarily probably some of their body strength. It was their hand strength.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably could kill it in Fortnite, but or whatever the games
in Mario Kart, they were the baddest man on the planet.
But they literally couldn't hang on to the furniture, even if their body could lift the weight.
No, they were dropping it. They were tipping it into the wall. I had to get you to. I said, no, that's okay. Me and my wife will do it.
You know, I don't take pride often in making men feel bad, but that I.
You were like, you wusses, get out of my house.
And I still get upset when it's. Anyways, I'm paying you for me to move my own stuff.
Right. Well, they did bring the truck, so.
You could have rented a U-Haul.
Yeah. Well, the main guy, he was good.
He was
excellent,
strong.
And he was small, but he was a football player. I think he was a pro for a few years, and he was small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and him are still friends on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
He puts up some nasty shit.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of great stuff, and I mean, me and you can converse on some more private things in a minute, but I think that was a great talk.
Well, I hope people enjoy it. Later.